Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and this is another in my series where I go through each year and tell you my favorite album, my favorite song, my favorite movie, and my favorite television show for each year. We're up to 1966. I started in 1950, and one of the caveats is I have to have a physical copy in order to pick it. And with the television series, they are only eligible their debut season. Otherwise, some of the series ran for many seasons, and it would be hard to keep track. So only eligible their debut season. So let's get started with my favorites from 1966. Now in 1966, where the single was still very important, the album was really starting to make its presence felt. And I just wanted to show some of the albums that didn't quite make my top 5 there. I've got This Old Heart of Mine by the Isley Brothers. The Exciting Wilson Pickett. This is a Japanese press, as you can tell. And I have the movie Arabesque. Not a bad film. But the soundtrack by Henry Mancini, I think, is very good. I also have Sergio Mendes and the Brazil 66. Herb Albert Presents. This is a fine album. A little psychedelic music and Psychedelic Lollipop by the Blues Magoos. You got the Monkees debut. The Monkees. I guess I didn't take that part off the back. And have the Blues Project Projections. Yeah. All albums from 1966 that I didn't pick, but they're very good, that I think. My fourth runner-up is the Yardbirds, also later called Roger the Engineer. I've got a repress on the Demon label. It's also got a nice booklet about the album and the Yardbirds. Yes, this was the only album to feature Jeff Beck on all songs. It was actually the only UK release, but it was the third release in the US. So anyway, Roger the Engineer, or just the Yardbirds. The Yardbirds, my fourth runner-up. Oh, and some of the songs that I really like are Over, Under, Sideways, Down. The Nazz Are Blue, and He's Always There. Yardbirds. My third runner-up is You Got My Mind Messed Up by James Carr. This CD has a bunch of bonus tracks on it, singles and previously unreleased tracks. Yeah, just a fantastic album. One of the best soul albums by one of the best soul singers. My favorite, in fact. This was his debut and contains his signature song in The Dark End of the Street. It also has the pouring water on a drowning man, which helps to convey the deep emotional intensity that Carr gave to his lyrics. Full of great soul tunes. If you don't know James Carr, check him out. If you like Otis Redding, I'm sure you would love James Carr as well. My second runner-up is Revolver, of course, by the Beatles. On the Parlophone label. With Revolver, the Beatles really started staking out new territory, even adding some psychedelic elements into their music. This experimentation led to such songs as Tomorrow Never Knows, I'm Only Sleeping, and She Said, She Said. It also has the beautiful ballad Here, There, and Everywhere, and the straight-ahead rocker Taxman. Yeah, fantastic Beatles album. And my favorite two, my first runner-up, both of these are only on CD, but it's my first runner-up is Blonde on Blonde, Bob Dylan. Sad. But after the classic Highway 61 Revisited, Dylan comes out with this, has a variety of great tunes on here. There are some great poetic ballads like The Visions of Johanna, which I know some people is their favorite Dylan tune. Just Like a Woman, and the epic album closer, Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands. He even has a brass-heavy opener in Rainy Day Woman, number 12 and 35, which some people know as Everybody Must Get Stoned. But yeah, Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde, my first runner-up. And my favorite album, 1966, is indeed Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. One of the best produced and best sounding albums that influenced a lot of other artists, including the Beatles with their Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It is indeed Brian Wilson's masterpiece with his unique wall of sound, mostly featuring the studio musicians, the Wrecking Crew. And Wilson was the main composer, arranger, and producer. Such songs as Wouldn't It Be Nice, God Only Knows, Caroline No, Sloop John B. Just an all-time classic. And now we get to my favorite songs of 1966. And I will say that I will provide YouTube links to album cuts from the albums I choose and also the songs that I choose as well. And let's get going. My fourth runner-up is Johnny Rivers' Secret Agent Man. I have it on this Best Of album. It's the last cut on side 1. But it was written by songwriters P.F. Sloan and Steve Barry for the British series Danger Man. It was a Johnny Rivers version that became a big hit, though. His version was recorded live at the Whiskey A Go-Go in West Hollywood with studio overdubs. I'm sure that they had the James Bond theme in mind when it was written. This classic tune, Secret Agent Man, Johnny Rivers. My third runner-up is the song For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. There you can see it right there. Of course, Buffalo Springfield was Neil Young, Stephen Stills, Richie Furay, Jim Messina, Bruce Palmer, and Dewey Martin. This is a nice hits collection, 2-album set. But the song was written by Stephen Stills about the Sunset Strip riots. The themes in the song can be applied to conflicts of today. It was originally thought to be an anti-war song. It was actually number 63 on Rolling Stone's top 500 songs of all time, For What It's Worth, Buffalo Springfield. My second runner-up is one of my all-time favorite soul ballads from the great James Brown. 4th song on here, It's a Man's World. One of James Brown's best pleading ballads, also written by him and his girlfriend, Betty Jean Newsom. The lyrics were written by Newsom, and it tells of the accomplishments of men, but without a woman, they mean nothing. Just one of Brown's best vocals, I think. It's a Man's World by James Brown, my second runner-up for 1966. My first runner-up by the Beach Boys. Yes, it's God Only Knows. Maybe the best sounding and best produced song of all time, written by Brian Wilson and Tony Asher. Its complex harmonies and lyrical genius make it a pop masterpiece. Carl Wilson sings the lead with a wall of sound featuring the Wrecking Crew, you know, a super collective of studio musicians. Yeah, God Only Knows. One of the best sounding songs of all time. And my favorite song of 1966 is by The Who, and it's the song Substitute. They were on the MCA label. It was originally just a single. It wasn't on a studio album. It came out on this collection of hits and singles, Meaty Beaty, Big and Bouncy. This is my favorite Who track, and one that deals in contradictions, appearance versus reality. It's about being the chosen, never being the chosen one, but being a substitute for the real thing. Just a fantastic track. Substitute, The Who. That's my favorite song of 1966. Now we get to my favorite movies of 1966, and I just want to reiterate that These are not necessarily what I think are the best films of 1966. They're just my go-to movies, ones that I enjoyed the most, I think. So I didn't include some ones I think are really good, but like Blow Up, Roman Polanski's Cul-de-sac, Fine Thriller and the Cooler Memorandum, good John Frankenheimer thriller with science fiction elements, Seconds. Good detective movie with Paul Newman, Harper. Fine comedy with Peter Sellers, After the Fox. A fine comedy with Doris Day and Rod Taylor and The Glass Bottom Boat. One of the best spy spoofs, Our Man Flint. This is a collection of both of the films that he did. And last but not least, The Wrong Box. There's Michael Caine on the front there. For my 1966 fourth runner-up, I have the movie Moment to Moment. This was on Kino Lorber. And was directed by Mervyn LeRoy. This may have recency bias, as I just watched this film twice, in fact. It's the second time with the audio commentary. It was Mervyn LeRoy's last film that he directed. My description would be to imagine Douglas Sirk with some Hitchcock influences. It stars Gene Seberg, you see on the cover right there. Also has Honor Blackman right there and Sean Garrison right there. It has an illicit love affair, a murder investigation, amnesia, all these classic suspense elements, and I think that really works moment to moment. My third runner-up is fantastic Voyage. It was directed by Richard Fleischer, who directed 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Jules Verne classic. This has an amazing sets and an amazing special effects, especially for 1966. A submarine is miniaturized to send a crew with a medical staff into the bloodstream of a scientist to repair a blood clot. Plus, we get Raquel Welch as part of the crew. My second runner-up is A Man for All Seasons, directed by Fred Zinnemann. A critically acclaimed film that stands up to multiple watches, mainly for Paul Scofield's Oscar-winning performance as Sir Thomas More, who opposed the king and his efforts to obtain a divorce and remarry and be recognized by the Catholic Church. There you see Paul Scofield right there. My first runner-up is The Professionals, directed by Richard Brooks. Great Western with four rough and ready individuals hired by a Texas millionaire to bring back his kidnapped wife. And they start to question their mission later on in the film. It has some great actors in Robert Ryan, Lee Marvin, Burt Lancaster, Jack Palance, and the beautiful Claudia Cardinale is the kidnapped wife. It also has one of the best ending lines in movie history with Lee Marvin's reply to Ralph Bellamy that I won't give away. You can see on there, you can see Burt Lancaster, there's Claudia Cardinale, Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan, also Woody Strode is on there as well. Jack Palance isn't pictured here, but he's the kidnapper. Well, you'll have to see the movie. And my favorite film from 1966 is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, directed by Sergio Leone, one of Sergio Leone's masterpieces, with a great trio of actors and Lee Van Cleef. There he is there. Clint Eastwood on the cover, and Eli Wallach right there with a great showdown climax. It is the definitive spaghetti western, at least I think so, and has one of the best film scores ever by Ennio Morricone. Yeah, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, a classic. 1966 was also a good year for television, and there are three that I did pick that I wanted to mention as well. And that's one, the response to Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. with Stephanie Powers. You also have Mission Impossible. Of course, they've made a bunch of movies now, but this was a great television series as well. And The Baron with Steve Forrest in the title role. Kind of reminds me of The Saint, but very good as well. So for my favorite TV shows of 1966, the fourth runner-up is The Time Tunnel. From creator-producer Irwin Allen, this science fiction series concerning time travel starred James Darren, right there, and Robert Colbert as scientists trapped in time. It only lasted one season, but it should have been given more of a chance because it did pretty well in the ratings. They wanted to replace it with some series about Custer that did terrible. So they should have kept this one. And my third runner-up is The Green Hornet, another series that only lasted one season with Van Williams as the Green Hornet. But for many, the star of the show was Bruce Lee as Kato because of his martial arts skills. Williams was newspaper publisher Britt Reed, who solved crime as the Green Hornet. Or see them as their costumes with, it's really just got a mask on, but yeah, nobody could tell that they were somebody else. I don't know. But it was an enjoyable series. My second runner-up is That Girl. Now, one of the highlights of the show was the opening where there'd be some situation that results in someone saying, "That girl." And usually it's Marlo Thomas doing something kind of stupid. But yeah, that girl was Marlo Thomas, great as this bubbly, aspiring actress making her way in New York City. It had a fine cast, especially Lou Parker as her father, who had just the right amount of gruffness. Yeah, it says on here, before Mary Tyler Moore, Murphy Brown, and Ally McBeal, there was that girl. Yeah, fun series. My second runner-up for 1966. My first runner-up is Batman. This is a complete series, lasted 3 seasons. This over-the-top campy portrayal of the Batman comic book character is nothing like the movies, or I guess the comics from what I understand. It starred Adam West as Batman and Burt Ward as Robin, but it was the great character actors playing villains that made this series rise above its silliness, like Cesar Romero as the Joker, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, and many more. I didn't really read the comic books, but I did watch Batman. Same Bat channel, same, how does it go? Same bat time, same bat channel the next day when you came home and watched it in the afternoons as a kid. But my favorite TV series of 1966 is indeed Star Trek. I've got all 3 seasons. Came in these neat containers. This is like season 1. But we get Captain James Kirk and his crew exploring the galaxy, space, the final frontier. This much-loved series became extremely popular after its cancellation, as it was not a hit during its series run. It is now seen as maybe the best science fiction series ever, with Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, Scotty, James Doohan, Uhura, Nichelle Nichols, Dr. McCoy, DeForest Kelley, along with Captain Kirk, William Shatner, becoming household names, and it addressed many social and political concerns of the day in its storylines, which made it unique. Yeah, Star Trek, my favorite television series of 1966. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate it when you say in the comments your favorite shows, or maybe some I missed. I always like to find out movies and television shows and albums that you think I should have mentioned that maybe I need to check out. So thanks everyone for watching. See you in 1967.